Afropunk in and of itself is about the mix of genre. I mean, I always say that the world is kind of caught up to us in the sense that, we kind of transcend genre in the sense that, we're not one part of the box, like we're outside of the entire container. So it's kind of like where you have artists who have something strong to say, who say it with their whole voice, who are unapologetic in who they are. Those are the artists that we gravitate towards, and that's what you're gonna see.
What's good, mi gente? It's me, Melany Moves here, and you're watching Blacktinidad. Today we have an extra special guest, and why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Nichelle Sanders from AfroPunk. I'm strategic advisor over there, and I help them think through everything from brand stuff to community stuff to social media stuff to all the things.
Nice, nice. For some of our viewers, most of our viewers are like Latino, and a lot of people don't even know what Afropunk is, at least in that community and that demographic. So how about you talk about what Afropunk is, how it started? I personally know because I'm from Brooklyn and I was at the first Afropunk when it was free. Nice. But let's talk to the whole audience about what Afropunk is and how it started.
Yeah, Afropunk is a community and a music festival and a brand that started 16 years ago, as you said, in Brooklyn. It was originally a documentary about the experience of Black folks in the punk scene in New York City, which sounds like a pretty specific and small thing, but it ended up being kind of a metaphor for being unapologetic and exactly who you are in whatever space you're in. And because of that, it's grown into a global force that really unites people who are interested in heroizing and centering Black creativity in so many countries around the world. So we've had festivals in, like you said, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Paris, London, Johannesburg, South Africa. We've had events in Bahia, Brazil. So yeah, I mean, we've become a lot more than what we started out being. And we really welcome all facets of Blackness, no matter where they're found.
And that's a great segue to what I'm going to ask you next. So this year, you guys have like a special edition of Afropunk where you're including Afro-Latino artists. So talk about how you guys came about trying to bring that part of the diaspora into, Afropunk and making sure that you're centering Blackness in all facets of Blackness.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to that point, Blacktinidad has always been a part of the Black experience, especially in New York City. I think if you think about like Puerto Ricans in New York or Dominicans in New York, it's such an infusion of, what the Black experience is. So, a lot of times you don't necessarily single it out. And I think as we've started to think about, how do we shine a light on all of our facets? And we've had a lot of conversations about our cross identities, like whether that's, through the lens of our 8 tenets. So we have 8 tenets that we run the brand by. So it's, no ageism, no ableism, no homophobia, no fat phobia, no transphobia, no hatefulness. So when you think about a wide view on what it means to be Black, we're always thinking about like who in our community have we not really engaged with directly. And I think our Latin brothers and sisters are very much, always been there. And we really wanted to shine a light on our Latin brothers and sisters. And also, I think last year when we had our digital festival, we really saw, especially from Brazil, like people, like so many of our viewers came out and showed up, that we really wanted to do something special. So that's what our Miami event is about.
Nice, that's so dope. You guys are having it in Miami. I'm sure you guys have a great lineup. We'll probably air this after you guys announce. So are you willing to tell us what can we expect from that? What artists are going to be able to see from that?
I'm just not allowed to say yet, but it's dope. And I can't wait for everybody to know.
So you can't tell us who, but can you tell us like what countries are going to be represented?
Definitely Brazil, definitely Puerto Rico, definitely DR. Yeah, I know, like I'll say that for sure.
For sure, for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's dope. That's dope. I know there's a lot of like Afro-Colombian artists, obviously Afro-Panameños. They've been on the scene with, you know, with the Spanish reggae,
All of
reggae
that.
español from way back when. Is there any specific genres of music that you guys are highlighting? Because I know obviously Afro-punk began with punk music, but then later on, as it became more and more popular, you guys like included other genres of music. So especially because within Latinidad, there's such specificity within the culture, whether it's Black, mestizo, mulatto, or white Latinidad, like the culture is still very specific in the national identity. So is there any genres of specifically Latino music that you guys are doing, or it's just, are there like Black hip hop artists, I mean, Afro-Latino hip hop artists, Afro-Latino punk artists, Afro-Latino?
Definitely that. Definitely that. I mean, I feel like, you know, we definitely have hip hop represented. We definitely have heavy metal represented. We definitely have, you know, a lot of genres represented, just because Afropunk in and of itself is about the mix of genre. I mean, I always say that the world is kind of caught up to us in the sense that, you know, we kind of transcend genre in the sense that, you know, we're not one part of the box, like we're outside of the entire container. So it's kind of like where you have artists who have something strong to say, who say it with their whole voice, who are unapologetic in who they are. Those are the artists that we gravitate towards, and that's what you're going to see in Black Spring in Miami.
Nice, that's exciting. So can you give us the date? Can you tell the audience when to look forward to that?
Yes, so that's going to be on April 23rd, and we cannot wait.
It's April 23rd, and you guys are doing it both like in person, COVID safe, and digitally.
Yeah, that's correct. So, you know, I mean, I think part of the reason why we wanted to call it Black Spring was because, you know, it's been a really long year. I mean, I don't even need to say it. We all know it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, you know, part of the Latin culture of, you know, thinking about it taking place a lot of times in the warmer regions of the world, and just like, you know, getting the sunshine out, getting that positivity and that brightness in life is very much what Black Spring is going to be.
Also digitally and in person. And
Oh yeah, so you know, I think part of the opening back up process is, you know, just starting to get people together in safe ways. So you're absolutely going to see both parts of that.
Nice. That's super exciting, because now everything's opened up slowly but surely, but then you have like a whole new way of accessing people digitally. So it just doesn't make sense to have had a whole year of just doing digital work, digital content, and then saying, okay, well, the world's back open, so let's no longer give the whole world access to something as beautiful as the connection diasporically with Black creatives and Black creative talent. So I think that's amazing that came out of the pandemic.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, you really touched on something that's been a huge learning for us this past year. And I think to that point, like we would have never seen like the amount of people that we had specifically in Brazil if it hadn't been for that, you know, sort of digital moment, where people were allowed to sort of be there and able to be there. So you're absolutely right. It's something that we can't wait to continue doing.
Nice. I'm excited to see, you know, future events. I've always spoken about making sure that we make like diasporic connections. You know, I find I'm always in conversation with different people who don't really have that knowledge of like Black people in Latin America. And that's the whole point of the show, Blacktinidad, to like really highlight any efforts that are amplifying the Black voices within the Latin culture, since they've been kind of muted or silenced or voiceless for so many years. And so I think it's, again, like such a beautiful thing to make sure that something that has become as popular as Afro-punk now has a space, including this demographic of people who maybe for a long time just kind of like blended in, especially like you said, like New York, you know, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. I'm Puerto Rican, so Puerto Ricans, like we're definitely very much a part of what has been synonymous with Black culture, which is hip hop culture, because we were there from the inception of hip hop culture as well. And also how we literally are neighbors, we fought for our rights together, we marched together, so on and so forth. You know, now taking that and realizing that that Black experience that is specific to Black Americans or any person who was racialized in America coming from another country, and making sure that they stood in their place, knowing that that experience is not limited to just the American Black experience, you know, like everywhere in the world, like anti-Blackness, unfortunately, is global. So it's very much necessary to make sure we put forth spaces for that type of inclusivity, so that Black pride is tangible, no matter where you are.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting that you mentioned that when you're racialized in these cultures, because, you know, if you think about the Black American experience, which has had, you know, as marginalized as we have been, it has had a lot of storytelling, you know, that's been able to happen around it. But I think, you know, part of what we've seen with our Latin brothers and sisters is that, you know, even within the way that they've been racialized in their cultures, they've really been silenced and also made even more ashamed in certain ways of their Blackness. And just hearing the stories about like within families of who even identifies as Black or not. Like generally, you know, in a Black American experience, like my whole family, whether they're like the color of the palm of my hand or, you know, Black as shoe leather, it's like we're all Black and that's something we all agree on. But I know that within Latinidad, it's like, that's a conversation. So I think for us, it was really important to even give a space to have some of those conversations and to give a space to have that emotion come out, because that's very powerful emotion when you think about something as core to your identity as that.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why I like to highlight there's so many things about Latino culture that at its essence and at its root and at its core is African. Like straight up, like no denying it. It's
like just listen to it.
No, yeah, down to the accent, down to the way we speak Spanish, because we speak Spanish, we go to Spain and they're looking at us crazy, like, what is this accent? But the accent is specifically because the linguistics of the Africans didn't have the ability to pronounce words the way Castilian Spanish was. So then our accent is it's an African accent in Spanish. Right. You know what I mean? So it's such an amazing thing that we are coming and awakening in this space. And then I feel like Black Americans have always had that, where they made sure that they had inclusivity because they understood that in America, they will racialize you. You know what I mean? So it's important that we
that there's power in inclusivity. In the same way that you talked about, you know, all of the, not all, but the cross-section of Black and Latino people in New York fighting for rights together, like that solidarity is very powerful.
Absolutely.
So I think that has been a really important understanding that's been a part of Black culture that is important for us as AfroPunk to, you know, expand in our generation. So
yes, and I mean, I feel like music is the unifying language. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You know, you listen to some music is always going to move you in some type of way. So it's so cool because now there are more opportunities for a Black pride to be shown within Latinidad that is kind of like dismantling that idea of not to be proud of your Blackness, you know? Yeah. But that same thing that you speak about, it happens in my family. Like my brother is darker than me, bro, and he would never call himself Black.
Right.
He be like, stop it, yo, I'm Puerto Rican. Ain't nobody ever gonna call me Black. I'm like, step your ass out of New York City for 2 seconds, bro. Get out of here.
And look, and people hold on to that, and it's like, you know, let's have a conversation about why that's so important. Like, who are you trying to align with, and who are you trying to de-align yourself with? Like, why is that historically kind of what we're doing? You know, so I can sympathize why he might feel that way, but I, you know, personally have never experienced that type of identity, so I can't sit myself in those shoes, but it's like, I think it's more powerful to align yourself with your other brothers and sisters who are having similar experiences.
Absolutely. And if you have things that you see that remind you of who you are and remind you of those roots, and if you're educated in that way.
And the beauty of it.
And the beauty of it, then there's something to be proud of. Then there's no shame in acknowledging that.
Right, and being both. It's like being Black and Puerto Rican. Like, why not?
Why not? You know, and most of our pride is in those things that are part of our identity, like music. You know what I mean? So I think it's a great thing that AfroPunk is doing this. It's really exciting for me. It's unfortunate that it took like a global pandemic and a whole Black Lives Matter movement for these things to be happening, but it's super exciting because now, you know, at one point there was always, at least for myself, where I feel like, well, where do I really fit in? Because in this space, I'm not Black enough. In this space, I'm not Latina enough. Many of us don't grow up speaking Spanish. You know what I mean? So then to the Latinos, it's like, if we don't speak Spanish, we're not Latino enough. You know, it's just weird spaces, but always at the end of the day, we were always included in the Black space and embraced in that Black space. And we need to acknowledge that and like praise our Black brothers and sisters in America for doing that, because otherwise we might have remained voiceless.
Right. And, you know, as part of the Black experience, that's always been, like we've always had a welcoming spirit because, you know, we knew what it was like to be outside. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in general, it's not part of our culture to be like, I mean, yeah, we have lots of conversations about like who's Blacker, who's whatever. Yeah. But overall, when it comes down to it, you know, it's like, come in, you're one of us, let's go.
Nice, nice. This is such an amazing conversation. How about you tell the viewers at home where you can find more details about AfroPunk, about Black Spring, and where they can register, get a ticket, you know, get a plane ticket, fly out to Miami, right, you know, and make sure they are part of something that is even new to AfroPunk. So. Yeah,
so at AfroPunk, on all the social, so on Instagram every day, on Facebook, on Twitter, you know, follow us, or afropunk.com or planetafropunk.com. And you will see the information, and we hope to see you there.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this lineup is like. You know, it's
gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a really good day, honey.
I'm super, super excited. We're gonna see if the network will let us fly out.
I think you must do some coverage. You need to see what's going on.
You know, we gotta do this.
Report for the people.
World life-changing things. We need flights. Okay,
that's right.
We need to get flew out for this. All right, you guys at home, thank you so much for tuning in.
Well, thank you for having me.
This was amazing. I'm so excited to introduce other Latinos to AfroPunk, and so that we can continue to amplify Black voices in Latinidad, especially in Black spaces in America. I'll see you guys next week here on Blacktinidad on LATV.